Dear viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel, The World Today. The topic which we will cover deals with war without winners in Ukraine, with a question mark. That it has been more than 75 days that when Russia attacked Ukraine, and the assumption was that it will take Moscow only couple of days to occupy Ukraine. More than 75 days have passed, that is, more than 2 months have passed, and Russia has not been able to occupy any major city of Ukraine, including its capital Kyiv. There is enormous resistance on the part of Ukrainian people, its military, and so far Russia has lost 15,000 soldiers. It's war with Ukraine. The war will not end. And if the war will continue, for how long it will continue? And it proves a couple of things as far as the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is concerned. The first is that it seems there are no winners as far as the Ukrainian war is concerned. Neither Russia has been able to defeat Ukraine, nor Ukraine has been able to defeat Russia. So it's a no-win situation. The second thing is that the West, particularly European Union, United States, NATO member countries, they have provided enormous military support to Ukraine, the state of Ukraine, economic support. But even then, Ukraine has not been able to push the Russian military from its territory. So this is something which is amazing, that more than 2 months have passed and Ukraine is still struggling. The third thing is that Ukraine, which was called as the breadbasket, very rich in agriculture and in other areas. So the war in Ukraine has a devastating effect as far as the supply chain is concerned, the supply chain of food, the supply chain of fuel, and that is something which has led to the rise in the global oil prices and food prices. Then there is another dimension as far as the war in Ukraine is concerned, that the Russian President Vladimir Putin is adamant. He is not willing to step down. The West will not accept any solution to the Ukrainian conflict unless, number one, Russia militarily withdraws from Ukraine, and number two, that President Vladimir Putin steps down. So that is something which is augmenting as far as the standoff in the Russo-Ukrainian conflict is concerned. And who is suffering? The people of Ukraine are suffering. More than 5 million refugees have poured into different European countries, particularly Poland and Czech Republic and Belarusia, Romania, these countries. So the question is that what is the solution? Because the war in Ukraine is costing the world a lot. There cannot be any way out as far as the war in Ukraine is concerned unless diplomacy is given a chance. Unless there is the withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukraine, because Russia is an aggressor. Russia has tried to occupy parts of Ukraine, and it has occupied Crimea, which was a part of Ukraine in 2014, and then it supported elements, the Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukraine. They invited Russian forces. So therefore, one can see a lot of insecurity as far as the neighbors of Russia are concerned, and they basically believe that if Russia is not prevented as far as aggression, expansionism, and chauvinism is concerned, then Russia will, the next target of Russia, it will be basically the Central Asian states, the Transcaucasian region, and so forth. But then it is not true that the West can be absolved as far as the responsibility is concerned. The West miscalculated the Russian invasion over Ukraine. Therefore, I think as days are passing, the standoff in the war in Ukraine is deepening, and that is something which will basically jeopardize not only peace and security of Europe, but also world at large. Certainly, Pakistan needs to be very cautious and wise in order to deal with this Ukrainian conflict. One thing is certain, that since according to international law, Russia is an aggressor, and the International Court of Justice, The Hague, and the International Criminal Court, they may be approached for the trial of Russian military, those soldiers and officers who are held responsible for the gross human rights violation. And that is something which is preventing Putin for some sort of a settlement over Ukraine. So therefore, war without winners, like in Afghanistan also, war without winners, the Soviet military intervention in Afghanistan and then the American military-led intervention in Afghanistan, the situation was that there were no winners and there were no losers as such. Certainly, it means that that history is being repeated as far as Ukraine is concerned. Thank you very much.